Good morning and welcome to today's Hangout on Air. My name is Nick Strong and I'm the Managing Director of Franchise Intelligence. Franchise Intelligence, we specialise in working with franchisors and their franchisees to increase sales. The focus of our Hangout on Air today is franchise recruitment, and the title is Franchise Recruitment, How the Heck Can I Do That Through Social Media? So I'd like to welcome as guests Richard Dancy, who specialises in working with franchisors to coach them in using social media to achieve their objectives, and also Linda Price, who is the Managing Director of the Swim Time franchise. We're going to have an open discussion about franchise recruitment and the use of social media in franchise recruitment for the next half hour. You can participate in this Hangout on Air. In the top right hand side of your screen, you will see these this little grid on the top right hand side of your screen. You can click on that and you can open the Q&A app. And if you have any questions while we're going through, you can type them in and we can bring your questions into this live session. So once again, welcome to this event. So Richard, I want to cross over to you. You're going to be mainly handling the questions in terms of our resident expert for today. So The first one is, let's just start with the basics and we'll say, so what is social media exactly? And how does social media differ from traditional advertising?
Thanks, Nick. So what is social media? Everyone hears about social media all the time on the TV and the radio and newspapers everywhere. It's just a way of basically, it's what it sounds. It's a way of socializing, talking, interacting, communicating with people, and more now as it's commercialized with businesses. So the social bit is the chatting, and it's the sharing content and news and information and expertise all about your franchise brand or whatever it is. And the media is the platform. So social media platforms such as, we've all heard of Facebook and Twitter, and this is on Google, and there's lots of different ones. So its purest form, social media is just talking to people about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so when it comes to standard advertising, obviously it's very much pushing a static message. So if we're focusing on conversation through social, clearly it can bring us into that conversation before that face-to-face that we normally might have to wait for in a Discovery Day format. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about social media and social networking. They're very close, but they're actually two different things. So social media is the media that the conversation is brought via, and networking is actually going on one step and having direct contact with people. Actually, Facebook just launched for personal users on your smartphone. They just launched live video streaming yesterday or a couple of days ago. So you can actually, if you would want to in your personal life, you can stream what you're doing and get your friends to comment on what's going on, and that will shortly, it's already started in America, it will shortly come to businesses. So you can network, and the point of networking is actually, you know, talking to those people and finding out what they're doing, what the questions are, and you know, it's amazing how often can you actually talk to the brands and products and services that you use and get a reaction straight away. So that's the networking bit.
So that's quite interesting because it's an opportunity, and it's also quite disruptive to our standard way of operating when it comes to recruiting franchisees. So moving over to yourself, Linda, thank you for joining us. Obviously running a successful franchise at Swim Time, but I'm curious to know, have you used social media for advertising, and also how are you planning to use social media in the development, or how would you like to know how to use social media in the development of your business?
Okay, thanks for inviting me today. First of all, no, we haven't used social media to advertise franchises. Our franchisees use it quite successfully in talking to their customers, and we would really like to know how to use social media to promote the sale of the actual franchises in particular regions across the UK. So I'm really interested to find out more about that today.
So Richard, there's a very clear objective, regional focus, and presumably, Linda, there's a clear personal profile that you're looking for of the people in that region that you want to target with your recruitment messages. So the question there, Richard, is can it be done? And if so, what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, well, Linda, it can definitely be done. In fact, at Barking Mad, we've been doing it successfully now for probably 3 or 4 years, but certainly in the last 6 months, as it has become really advanced on specifically Facebook, we have been recruiting franchisees, and we've already recruited 6 this calendar year. And it's difficult to trace exactly, although we will be able to trace exactly which advert they clicked on before long. We know that the majority of those have come through social media, so we are actively recruiting on social media. So that's great. It is not a quick fix, though, I have to say. We've been working on it for several years. There are ways. There are ways of putting an advert on straight away. I could talk to you, and within half an hour, you could have an advert on Facebook, and you could be getting information. However, the more you spend on understanding your audience, understanding where they are, the type of franchisees, perhaps profiling, you know yourself when someone comes to see you about being a potential franchisee, you know straight away whether they're going to be right, and you also know the profile of all the type of people that you're looking for. So doing some work on that first, and then really honing in and customizing your audience to find out who you advertise to and who you network with socially, and on which platform will really increase your objectives. So we are currently getting leads for franchise. We've had, since the beginning of November, we've had over 1,200 leads, and they're coming in at less than £1 per lead. So, and as I say, we've recruited in this calendar year already from social.
So just thinking there about digging a bit deeper on the practical side, Richard, you spoke there about profiling of people, getting your message in front of the right profile of people. So and also the important aspect of, well, what social media platform does that profile use? Unpack that a bit for us. So identifying where your audience spends their time, unpack that a bit. And then how do you actually set up how to find people with the profile you're looking for? And what about the messaging that you put in front of them? Let's think through a bit of the structure of that as well. So there's 3 areas of focus there. So start with the right crowd and the right platform.
Okay, yeah. So Linda, you personally and myself at Barking Mad and all the different companies that Franchise Intelligence deal with, you've been operating for a number of years. You know where the kind of profile of your franchisees and your successful existing franchisees, and whereabouts they might be, whether they're looking in traditional channels, whether they are already existing business people, whether they are family people, maybe they're mums, or I don't know. You're the person who knows that more than anyone. So that's where to start. And when you profile those people with a knowledge that obviously Franchise Intelligence has, to find out where those type of people operate. So, for example, we can take your database. Look through it and cross-reference it with different social platforms. So you could cross-reference it with Facebook. I worked with a client only last week, and we did that cross-reference with Facebook, and she found that there was above 60% of her network were on Facebook, and they were active Facebook users. So great, we knew straight away that it was going to work on Facebook, and then we could then hone the custom audience a bit better to understand, their ages, their profiles, and also to find out where they live. So you can put advertising just like you can with Google and a number of other platforms. You can find out exactly where they live, and there's no need to send franchise recruit ads to where you already have successful franchisees. So you're not wasting advertising. Whereas traditional advertising, you put it out there, it's a big blanket approach, and you don't know who you're looking for. So it makes it very, very efficient. I forget what was the next question, Nick?
Well, the next one was, so you've spoken about identifying the profile and checking that those people are actually on a particular social media platform, because you need to make sure your people are there before you actually start advertising to them. So what about the creative? How do you get people to engage with the creative so you can actually generate those inquiries?
Yeah, there's a number of ways. The two most important ways are paid and unpaid, and they need to work together. So you need to create, once you've identified who that community is, then you need to find out what it is they're talking about and whereabouts they are, what time they're on, that kind of thing, what they're doing. And when you've found that out, you can go to places where it's free to put content out and put stuff that they're interested in, so they're interacting and you are part of the conversation that they're already having, perhaps, or you can start a conversation about the things that they're interested in. And it's not just a sales thing. It's not you just talking about, hey, come and start your own business. It might be talking about the topics initially that they're interested in. So, where's my career going, or are you fed up with the 9-to-5 commute, or things that you've identified that your franchisees, it was perhaps a push factor away from their old career job or whatever it is they were doing. So that's one point. The second point is advertising. So you can actually find out where they are and take the content that they'll be interested in. So there's all sorts of different types of content. The most success that I've had is with video content. So franchisees, talking about their experience, a day in the life of what your franchisees would expect to be doing. You probably have a promotional video already, Linda. I know we do, and lots of people do. It's a good idea to keep it short, so you might want to edit your video. The best ones are under a minute. And so sort of the things that your potential franchisees will be interested in, again, ask your potential franchisees, or you're going to know what they're interested in, and keep it short, keep it sweet, and keep some sort of key sort of calls to action. So, what is it you're doing in your life at the moment, or things that will trigger them. And all that content together can be extremely powerful.
So it sounds like there's quite a mix of options there that needs to be thought through carefully and planned quite carefully. Linda, you mentioned that your franchisees are doing some local marketing. What sort of social sharing, advertising engagement are you doing, and what are you finding is working on a local level?
On a local level, we're doing quite a bit of Facebook and Twitter, and the conversations keep going through that. So they are finding that they're getting quite a lot of engagement from the local community, which is who we're aiming our swimming lessons at. And that's really how it used to be, literally old-fashioned word of mouth to spread the word, and now it's via social media and various Mumsnet type directories, but they have forums and people talk. So we try to make sure that they're saying nice things about us.
So really what you're saying is you're scaling word of mouth communication that you've always enjoyed. It just can happen faster and quicker because of the way that we're all connected now.
Yeah.
I think that, sorry, if I could just add a comment there. You're absolutely right. So perfect for something like swim time is Mumsnet, and you can have those. They're already involved in conversations there, and there is a way of advertising within those forums or with those platforms to continue on the conversation. So it's not necessarily buy this or try this or come to us, we're great. It's more about talking about the subjects that they're talking about, and then you can bring them perhaps from one place. We work and look at the sales funnel where they start off in one area and then they move down perhaps to coming onto your Facebook page from somewhere, and then from your Facebook page you might then be able to show them something that would take them to your franchise recruitment page on your website, or a franchise recruitment video or something like that. So it is all about sort of starting the conversation, which is why I said it takes a while to develop. Start the conversation and then move them along the sales process, which is what we've been doing for years, but just not necessarily online or with social media.
So I think what's coming out clearly here is that social media isn't something that is a new way of thinking necessarily. It's all about networking, communication, getting messages in front of the right sort of people. It just enables us to target more effectively and have conversations with people that we actually want to deal with. So Linda, in terms of your franchisees, people that you meet that take on your franchise, be interested to know, for you to say off the top of your head, what's their profile? You know, if you think of the age, gender, interests, reason for contacting, what would that be, would you say?
Okay, well, we've got a really wide range of franchisees. We have probably 75% of our franchisees are women. They're not looking for a second income. This is their primary income. It's not a part-time job. It's a full-time business. So that may differ slightly from other types of franchises in the same industry. And they don't have to be swimming teachers. We do have some franchisees who are swimming teachers. They do have to have a lot of passion for running a business and being independent. And really that is what we're looking for. They don't need any specific previous experience. As long as they've got some passion about something that they've done in their lives, then we know that we can transfer that into running a swim time franchise.
And I think that that's really key to pinpoint that and to write that down, because when you're going into setting up the advertising, certainly in something like Facebook, because Facebook has the information about gender, age, interests, location where people live, you can really focus to make sure your adverts appear in front of those people. And then in terms of the messages that you want to communicate to those people, clearly you need to put that across in a very quick and succinct way, in the way that Richard said, video less than a minute, certain images and messages that really engage people at a point of interest to draw them into further conversation. So just to sum that up, Richard, the difference between the different types of sharing with social, what would you say in a nutshell? What are they and how do they work together?
Okay, so there's free generic social sharing, and everyone talks about something going viral. I don't think we're talking about something going viral particularly, although you can find something that strikes a particular chord with the people that you're interested in targeting, and that might be on your Facebook page, it might be on Twitter, it might be on LinkedIn even, it depends where it is, might even be on your website, but that's all about generic and not paid for. And then we have paid for, which is really the best way nowadays. There's gone are the days where social media is free. I think people need to get that out of their minds. It is extremely cost effective, but it's no longer free. So to get to the people you want, you do have to pay for ads. There's very little point now in just doing hoping for generic on its own. So paying for adverts wherever they might be. We've talked about Facebook, and Facebook is the biggest, the most powerful, and certainly even if you're business to business, your potential franchisees will be on Facebook, and the UK there are millions. I think it's something like a ridiculous amount, something like up to 60 million people active on Facebook daily. It's almost the entire population. It's a very high amount, and that is all about paid and targeting the right messages to the right people. So as Linda said, you've got a wide range of different franchisees, different types of franchisees, so you can tailor each advert to those people. So you don't have to have the same blanket advert like you would perhaps in traditional newspaper advertising. You can have a different type of ad for different people. Some might inspire women, some might inspire men. Barking Mad, for example, we do have a lot of women, but we have male franchisees as well. So you know, we do tailor those to each individual audience. So those are the key ways. And it is all about getting good content and you coming across as the expert in your field. So talking to people about who you are and what you do and the massive expertise that you have, the knowledge that you already have, that you probably already have on your website, and lots of content that's already there, and just putting it in front of the right people and sparking conversation.
Okay, thanks for that. Just to want to remind everyone who's watching, if you look in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a grid of these 9 little boxes. If you click on that, you can click on the Q&A app and you can start asking your questions, and we can bring those into this event. I want to thank Sam from Tatty Bumpkin because she's asked our first question, and she's saying, Richard, what platforms or forms are you talking about where you join in a conversation? You mentioned about putting out adverts there, joining in a conversation and developing a relationship with someone through the likes of Facebook. So in terms of the practical how-tos, what's your answer for Tatty Bumpkin?
Hi Sam. Yeah, so Facebook has groups, and you can operate in groups and have quite specific groups. So for Barking Mad, for example, we don't talk about, you know, we're the best dog sitter or whatever. We talk about the best places to walk your dog in Lancashire. And we'll have a group, a Facebook group for that. Linda might have something like, you know, things to look out for when going swimming with kids in Manchester or something. I don't know what it would be, but people do, if they've got particular interests, or they will have groups, or you can have there's also groups in LinkedIn if it's a more business focus for business to business, and Twitter has Twitter hours specifically for areas and regions. So you might have we have a franchise hour Twitter hashtag. You might have a you know, a regional one. So I know that there's all around the country there's hashtags for a particular area. So it might just be people talking in that particular area. So there are lots of places where you can go. Now Facebook in itself and groups and LinkedIn as well. The advertising is not there yet, but it will come. Also, there's Live Messenger, where you can directly talk to your brand. That has now been opened up for businesses, so it just used to be for people, but now it's for businesses. So you can have a direct conversation with your customers. That is now soon to be open to advertising as well. So there's lots of places where it's not just set advertising, and as Sam knows, you know, she's been working on videos to her customers. So there's lots of different options.
Yeah, I believe you've been working with Sam on helping develop that strategic approach, which is part of the service that we offer through your coaching. Linda, I'm interested to pick up on something Richard mentioned, which was handling or the pipeline of lead generation and handling through to awarding of a franchise. What is the current way that you handle your advertising through the pipeline of communication through to that award with Swim Time?
Okay, at the moment we don't do a lot of advertising, but we do get leads, so they come directly into our main central office, and they are handled by, there are 3 main people that deal with franchise recruitment here. We'll look at the CV, we'll look at the person, will speak to them initially on the phone, invite them in for a meeting with us. If there are enough people at one point, we'll have a discovery day so that we can have a few people in at the same time and show them exactly what Swim Time's all about. And then after that, we continue to talk and show them exactly what our business has to offer, and talk to them about what their aspirations are and what they're looking for in terms of lifestyle and a new business that they're taking on.
Okay, that's interesting because that's a very seller-led approach, which is one that most franchisors are taking. So you put out your content, people read it, they apply for information, you send information, then you speak to them, then you invite them to come and see you, then you tell them about it. Perhaps they speak to franchisees, and then you may or may not award them a franchise, and then someone will be recruited. So very seller-led, very controlled by the franchisor. Now, when it comes to social media, there can be a significant disruption to that seller-led process. Interested to pick up your thoughts, Richard, on what disruption there might be and what threats and opportunities there are to the franchisor in recruitment when it comes to social.
Yeah, interesting example. We had somebody who we recruited who trained last month, and they said, yeah, we've watched all your YouTube videos. And we've got about 200 YouTube videos. So we said, really, all of them? And he said, yes, I just went through them all. So we find that our potential franchisees and people who start, we award a franchise.
And that was before they applied. They watched 200 videos before they applied.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah. And those videos are not just, in fact, very few. There's maybe a dozen or so are about franchise recruitment. The rest are about dogs on holiday, hosts, just general stuff about what we get up to. You know, maybe we were at an awards. We've had, success with the BFA and things that we've been doing. So I would say the way that the process is disrupted is that they have already quite a lot of information about, they're starting a two-way conversation with us because they already have a lot of information before we physically see them or talk to them.
But what impact does that have on the sales process?
I think that they have already got a lot of questions answered. So when we talked before about the sales funnel, it may start with a conversation on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Traditionally, they used to then come to us, or they would see us in the Daily Mail or wherever it might be, Franchise Magazine or an exhibition or something. And actually, traditionally, we have not had great success with the traditional franchise press because a lot of our franchisees don't know that they want to run their own business. We're just getting them at the time when they're thinking about it. We might even spark that interest. So that they are by the time they come to us, they know a lot more about us, and we perhaps will have given them a lot of information down that sales funnel before we even talk to them on purpose. So we won't talk to them unless they've gone through a certain number of stages, and they all drop into different databases and get to see different content as a result. And we have, for example, we have two different prospectuses. One is a basic one, which is only, I think, 8 pages with loads of photos, and then we have our full prospectus, which is about 23 pages. So we know that when we can see that they've watched a load of videos, they've clicked a lot of times, and they've read both prospectuses, that they're at a stage where we would want to talk to them.
So it's quite interesting what you're saying there, because you've brought in the fact that you're finding people through an amalgamation of social media, conversation, and advertising. Then you brought them into a conversation where you're sending them further information. So now you're looking at video on your website. Then you brought them into sending a physical brochure that's 8 pages, and then a bit further, maybe something with more pages. So what you're actually saying there is you're bringing together an amalgamation of social content, conversation, advertising, physical literature. So there's still that pipeline there, but now people can see what you look like. They can ask your their questions. They can see who your franchisees are and the passion that they have for what they're doing before they even apply. Now, historically, when it was all just paper, clearly you couldn't see that. You couldn't get the flavor of the brand. You had to wait till the end of the process before you spoke to franchisees. So now I think one of the main disruptions is you and your franchisees need to be visible for people to get to know before they even apply for your franchise whatsoever. Now I've got another question come in. We're rapidly running out of time, but if we have more questions, I'll keep asking them. So if you've got any questions, everyone who's watching, please put them in. So this is from Paul Stafford at the BFA. So he said, what sort of budget are you talking about for targeting social ad campaigns? And how does cost differ between, say, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter?
Okay, great. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining. Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, we are this is for Barking Mad, and I know for working with other companies, you're talking around about £1 a lead for franchise leads. Now, you know, it depends how much work you've done beforehand to really hone down those customer audiences to find out. You know, how good, you know, the quality of those leads and how, you know, what turnaround you'll get on those leads. Barking Mad, it's way below. You know, in some campaigns we've done, it's 50p a lead. But on average, I would say that, and this is on Facebook I'm talking about. We obviously also do stuff with Google AdWords, but for franchise recruitment, we don't find that is, you know, that is a very quick way of burning money on Google AdWords is to look for franchise recruitment. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's more expensive. So on franchise recruitment,
that is understanding your audience and where they spend their time. That's a key consideration too.
Yeah, I think that LinkedIn can be a little bit more expensive, and it also is a bit behind on the targeting side of things. However, you know, as far as in relation to, dare I say, Paul, doing an exhibition where your investment would be, I don't know about you, Linda, but I know that people spend anything from £6,000 to £15,000-20,000 on an exhibition, and you know, and look at the number of leads from that. So I would say that it is how long is a piece of string. However, at the moment, social media advertising, not that many people are using it, not that many people understand it, so it's an incredibly efficient way of advertising.
I think one way of summarizing that is to say understand your audience, which is a point we came to at the beginning, and say, look, where are your audience spending your time? You know, and also in addition to that, the impact of advertising. If you advertise on LinkedIn, you suddenly find out you're getting more traffic to your website. If you are going to an exhibition and advertising there, how many people turn up being knowledgeable about you because they've seen what you've been doing on Facebook? So in actual fact, going back to your analogy of the sales pipeline, Richard, it's really understanding your audience, your profile, and how your different methods of marketing and meeting people actually fit together into a single journey, and all the roads that actually come together to lead to that face-to-face communication. Linda, you've brought in some points, and they've been really good ones, and thank you for that. Just curious to know how you found today's discussion, which we're going to have to wrap up in a minute. We're already past our half hour that we promised. Just curious to know, was that helpful? Is there anything else that you'd like to ask before we wrap up?
It was very, very helpful for me. I know that there are rules for social media and there are tools that you can use. You've touched on a few of them today, so I think that's something that we'd really like to explore, and we'll be giving you a call.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. That's right. Yay, we convinced someone. That's wonderful. Okay. Well, Richard, any final comments before we sign off?
Well, I'd just like to say that, you know, I'm really keen on social media. I'm a bit of a geek as far as it goes, and I know that there's a massive opportunity for everybody in all franchisors in the UK and everywhere. So I know, Paul, you're an advocate of social media, and we all think that it's something that we should explore more. So I'm happy to help people explore that. I've been doing one-to-one sessions. I think it really is important that as a franchisor you understand the process yourself, and this is not something that we do for you, or you could get someone else to do for you. It's something that you can learn about and then be a part of the conversation. So social media is about being genuine and talking to, having those conversations, but doing it in, from the comfort of your own home. And for the potential franchisees, perhaps it might happen in the evening and on their smartphone or whatever. So what I really want to say is there's a massive potential, and come on, the British franchise arena, the industry. Let's make the most of it.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you both for joining me today and for sharing those insights and asking the questions. On a practical level, if you would like to have coaching from Richard on social media, how to understand your audience and how to target your audience to generate leads with a target cost per lead of £1 each, then it sounds pretty compelling to me. You can contact us here at Franchise Intelligence. Go to the website, click on the contact and give us a ring or send us an email. You can contact Richard at richard@franchiseintelligence.co.uk, or me. You can contact me, Nick, at franchiseintelligence.co.uk, and we can have a conversation with you about providing you social media business development coaching through Skype, normally for a couple of hours a month, spread over 2 one-hour sessions. Or if in fact you want to target franchisees using social media for lead generation and you do want to outsource that, that is a service we provide as well, so do feel free to ask us more about that. So we shot over time. We've gone into 40 minutes, extraordinary. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Linda and Richard, for your insights. We look forward to connecting with you. We will be at the National Franchise Exhibition at Olympia next month, so please come and speak to us on stand. Thank you and have a good afternoon, and we wish you a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.